Welcome to this news live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babyle Jonathan, and our top stories in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. On Equinoxe television, at least 5 persons have now been confirmed dead in a new cholera outbreak in the Republic of Cameroon. The 5 cases were recorded in the southwest region. As of now, 2 regions have been affected by the cholera epidemic, and out of the country, several persons are believed to be trapped under debris of a 22-story building that collapsed in Lagos, Federal Republic of Nigeria. At least 5 persons are reported dead. At least 5 cholera-related deaths recorded in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. This is within the context of a new cholera outbreak affecting 2 regions of the Republic of Cameroon. As of now, the southwest and the center regions of the country. Immaculate Foge reports.
2 regions in Cameroon are currently being hit by the new wave of cholera contaminations. The southwest region, which is hardest hit by the epidemic, has registered a total of 26 confirmed cases. 23 of the confirmed cases were detected in Ekondo Titi, while 3 others were registered in Bakassi. The region has recorded 5 deaths related to the outbreak. The center region is not left out, as a case has also been confirmed. Majority of the patients who were diagnosed are currently receiving medical care. Some residents of the city of Douala express fear given the fact that the city was engulfed by heaps of garbage after sanitation workers recently downed their tools. City dwellers are urging authorities to boost sanitation measures across the national territory in order to contain further contamination. Public health officials on their part are calling on Cameroonians to regularly wash their hands before and after every meal and equally drink clean water. They equally re-echoed the importance of vaccination.
Thousands of persons displaced by violence in the northwest and southwest regions, and also in the far north region of the Republic of Cameroon, and refugees in the Republic of Cameroon facing diverse challenges, and UN Women is coming in at this point in time to try to improve on their deplorable living conditions. Details with Malaglory.
To facilitate the acquisition of civil status documents by IDPs and refugees in Cameroon, the UN Women met in Douala together with local policymakers such as the mayors. These to brainstorm on the different ways on how to facilitate the vulnerable women and girls in the conflict-affected area have access to civil status documents.
That we can facilitate access to civil status documents. The reason is because we have so many beneficiaries in our project Second Chance Education that are not even able to move because they do not have identity cards, and because they don't also have birth certificates that will enable them to produce their identity cards.
The UN Women also have as objective to provide these vulnerable women a second chance education, and for this reason the mayors in charge of birth certificates promise to bring possible solutions.
If you have your birth certificate, you can go back to school and you can continue far in studies.
The organization on their part hopes to have more than 3,000 beneficiaries that will have birth certificates, national identification cards, because of the support from the platform.
The traditional leader of Botalan village in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon draws the attention of his subjects to dubious activities by some unscrupulous individuals, notably concerning the sale of land on the Botalan layout, and he calls on the population to be vigilant in order not to fall in the trap of these individuals. And he indicates that he is the only one who is responsible for any transaction that should take place on that layout in the town of Limbe. Details in this report compiled for us by Charles Ekome concerning the situation in Botaland village in the southwest region of Cameroon.
The Botaland layout, located in Limbe, Fako division of the restive southwest region, has been disputed over for so many years now by locals of the Botaland village.
Botaland layout, we visited by us from the Cameroon government and the Cameroon Development Corporation, known as CDC. There has been a Botaland saga going on for a long while now, maybe close to 7-8 years. So we are here as youth of Botaland to say that there is an ongoing misunderstanding between the villagers.
This land saga, which has worsened over the years, has now prompted the traditional council of the area to take action. Jemolungu Joseph, the chairman of the Botaland Traditional Council, is calling on the population, through orders from the chief of Botaland, to avoid scams from people interested in buying a piece of land from the layout.
I just want to inform the public that whosoever who is interested in buying or selling in our Botaland layout should pass through the official manner by seeing the chief of the village.
All that said, the opaque city of Limbe has recorded a number of land-related problems within a short period of time. Hopefully, the competent administrative and traditional authorities will find probable solutions to these problems in the nearest future.
Custom officials in the northern regions of the Republic of Cameroon have seized 10,623 telephones illegally imported into the country, and according to the commander Mofo Jude, head of the Alcomi 3 unit, the items were picked up at the entrance into Ngaoundere. Smanjika and give a report.
It was at the custom sector office in Ngaoundere that custom officials displayed the 10,623 mobile phones that were seized from smugglers.
At the entrance of Ngaoundere, we had to intercept the lorry transporting these goods. They were inside bags with some other goods.
The mobile phones, which were illegally transported from a neighboring country into Cameroon, were seen mixed in other goods in a lorry by custom officials, something which made the traffickers to think the custom officers were using supernatural powers to track them.
When we got it, the first thing they suspected us of using witchcraft or moving with a witch doctor. Instead of paying their duties, they thought we are moving with witchcraft. The problem here is an importer who has passed through Yaoundé-Simalen or Douala International Airport has already paid his duties. Now, these people are coming from the north. They have not paid. Are you sure they are going to sell the same price? So the role of customs is not only to collect duties, but to put sellers or to regulate the market.
The seized items could be either auctioned by custom officials in a case where the owner doesn't come to pay and take them. The head of Alcomi 3 sends this message to the public.
They should learn to clear their goods, the entrance of the country. As soon as they cross the frontiers, declare their goods, make customs declarations. Instead of taking us as wizards or witch doctors, if you declare your goods and clear them, I don't think the witch doctor that you take me for is going to catch you.
Custom officers have vowed to continue the battle against those who continue to transport goods illegally into the Grand North.
Contractors rehabilitating and constructing roads in the Mongo Division, littoral region of the Republic of Cameroon, have been urged to complete their respective projects before the end of the year. And this instruction came from the committee in charge of follow-up of the execution of public investment, the public investment projects or budget in that part of the country. Innocent as now reports that till now, that is just about 2 months Less than 2 months to the end of the year, the execution rate, the contract execution rate in the Mungo division remains quite low. His report.
These inhabitants of Ngongsama in the Mungo division of the Littoral region expressed delight. Their localities will be accessible as authorities of the Divisional Follow-up Committee of the Public Investments Budget descend to the field to pressurize the divisional delegates to ensure earmarked road projects are realized before end of the year. It is a surprising visit of this delegation constituting the mayor, engineers and division delegates. This waters the hope within us. Our roads will be fixed. While on the field to inspect ongoing works, the chairperson of the committee expresses her dissatisfaction over the low progress rate a few months before the end of 2021. Honorable Disake Marguerite challenges all the divisional delegates who are contract winners to play their roles respectively and effectively for progress rates of the project to rise and satisfactorily. Also concerned are agents of the road fund who went down to the field to mount pressure on companies in charge of the contracts it finances. El-Ash Umaru, leading the roads funding team, knows that works were well executed at certain places, while in others, works were poorly done. He also observes poor behaviors. The team, he says, will continue monitoring so that work can accelerate. All of the actors are thus expected to execute the project with their full consciences and with respect of norms for the benefits of the entire Mungo division.
World-leading technology company Google signs a partnership deal with JFN University Institute in Cameroon, and of course Google Cloud technology is coming to help that institution to enhance the training of its students, and the partnership will offer innovative and unique opportunities that can trigger digital transformation of the crowd to better serve the needs of students affordably and effectively. And of course the trainings will be affordable according to the partnership agreement signed between the two institutions, and it will equally enable the students to sharpen their skills by transforming bold ideas into big discoveries. Now take a listen to Felix Manuharan. He's the head of strategy EMEA Higher Education for greater details.
First partnership that we signed in Africa, in all of Africa and in Cameroon, with an institution and Google Cloud to allow students at the institution and professionals to learn about cloud computing and to pass a Google Cloud Associated Cloud Engineer certification. It's the first time we are offering this opportunity to young Cameroonian and professionals in Cameroon to be able to acquire relevant skills that are really high in demand on the job market today. Yes, our goal with this partnership with JFNIT in Cameroon is to make sure that we equip Cameroonians with the right skills, the relevant skills to be getting jobs, highly in demand jobs on the market today. And these jobs in cloud computing are going to allow Cameroonians to innovate and be able to create and launch the next startup and potentially the next Google. We want Cameroon to become the cloud hub of reference of all of Africa.
At least 5 persons have been confirmed dead after a building collapsed in Lagos, Federal Republic of Nigeria, and many persons are still believed to be under the debris of the collapsed 22-story building. Details on this and more with Charles Ikome.
At least 5 people have died and dozens missing in Lagos, Nigeria, as a 22-story block under construction collapsed. The building came down at around 2:45 p.m. local time in the Upper Market district of Ikoyi. Despite heavy rains, rescue workers and locals used floodlights to walk through the night, digging through rubble and twisted metal, as 6 survivors were being pulled from the wreckage. This partially built block of luxury apartments came down on Monday What caused the collapse and how many people are trapped under the debris remains unclear. However, many relatives are now anxiously waiting near the site to hear whether their loved ones have survived. State media in Ethiopia say the authorities in Addis Ababa are urging residents to register their private weapons within the next 2 days. This follows comments by a rebel alliance that it was considering marching on to the Ethiopian capital. The Tigrayan People's Liberation Front, which has been fighting government forces for the past year, has now linked up with fighters from the Oromo Force, giving the rebels a major boost in their ability to threaten Addis Ababa. Rebel advances have sparked a national call to arms by Ethiopia's Prime Minister, and there's a state of emergency in the Oromia region.
Talking Point is up next. Dr. Emma Osong is joining us from the United States of America. She's one of America's notable advocates and leading voices striving for permanent peace based on justice in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. And she is the founder of Women for Peace and Justice, Women for Permanent Peace and Justice. Dr. Emma Osong, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. I'm glad to be here again with you and to engage with your listeners.
We are still waiting for the official statement of the Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiation meeting in Toronto, Canada. We are still waiting for the official statement of that meeting, but we continue looking at how such a meeting can help to restore peace and normalcy and, of course, ensure justice in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. Peace and justice, what your organization is fighting for. Permanent peace based on justice. Now, what do you think about this meeting that ended yesterday, bringing together civil society and religious leaders, political leaders from across the board on both sides in Toronto, Canada?
Thank you again for having me on the show. I don't know if the echo is on my part. I hope the lines are very clear. The first thing I want to come out and say is that it says, let's all quit denying others to assemble just merely because we hold ideological differences with those individuals. So the CDN has a right to assemble. The second thing I want to highlight in your show, Mr. Babula, is that the noise around CDN is largely driven because we are mainly blinded by sheer opposition and surrogacy to each other, as opposed to listening to what exactly is as plain as the nose on our face. And what do I mean by that? Let's look at the guiding principles around the coming together of those who gathered in Quebec this past week. They wanted to foster internal negotiations, number one. They wanted a framework or guiding principles for international negotiations, which is a bit surprising to me. Perhaps I'm naive enough to think that the international community already has a pamphlet, information and a pamphlet on that. Number four, I think they have four principles. They wanted guiding principles for international negotiations and framework for a credible guaranteed international mediation. Here's where I come down, and I believe many would agree with me on that. CDN, in so doing, assembled and floated a lot of different viewpoints, platforms, and personalities. And perhaps, as some have opined after the meeting, may have lost control of what they set out to do in struggling to define, quote, struggle. But here's what is actually plain as the noses in our faces. We already know the international platform has already been defined by the international community. It is framed around the root causes and the southern Cameroon issue, not the Anglophone crisis. There is a show that we are to be had on what the differences are between those two. So where does that get us now? We do not need a conference to understand what the UN Security Council has already opined on, what the United States and what is today called the Friends of the Peace Process, that there is in fact a problem that is internationally backed, and that a country called Switzerland has put up itself along with its partners called the Friends of the Swiss to look into that root causes. So calling a conference to only talk about legitimizing the peace process, in my view, is one of the highlights out of the CDN. So for me, and for many others who have already signed up to the peace process, such as the Amazonia Coalition team, is agreeing that the positive out of the CDN is in raising the awareness that today there is no other credible process on the table other than that which the Swiss has taken up and which other international partners have endorsed.
Doctor, while hoping that the technicians will help me to hear you clearly, when you see people from the extremes coming to the table, is that a sign of hope?
Always is a sign of hope when we can sit with the parties to a conflict. And here's where we think we need to be very clear. The Republic of Cameroon government declared war. There is an armed insurrection going on, so people now are engaged in deadly conflict. Those are the only actors that can truly speak on the question of resolving and cessation of hostilities. It is incumbent on all the surrogacy out there to put their efforts to bring President Biya of La République du Cameroon to sit down with the armed groups who have already accepted the Swiss process and dialogue addressing the root causes, as has been proffered without preconditions, so we can arrive at a quick, swift cessation of hostilities and sparing our families this deadly conflict. So those who assembled at the CDN, good for them, but that multiplicity of voices and competing platform has been criticized as perhaps Grand National Dialogue Take Two. But as I mentioned earlier, there is one good thing out of it. It has denied those nervous Swissers that the dead, non-existing opaque Swiss process actually exists. So the international actors who came in ostensibly as observers to the Toronto retreat have only gone further based on reports out of this meeting, and I'm sure there will be some formal report coming. So I say this not to say I have these conferences were held under Chatham House rules, that I have a direct insight into it. But if all reports, for instance, there have been press statements by organizations that participated, claiming that they do in fact recognize the heretofore non-recognizable Swiss process. So we must look at the conference from that vantage point, that it has served to highlight that in fact only an internationally backed third-party process can have a fighting chance at resolving the deadly conflict in Cameroon. And for that and that alone, we must applaud whoever the international actors were who showed up to again re-emphasize that they are willing to bring the parties to the table, but we must quit this social media slaying and victimization and work towards agreeing that there is in fact a process on the table, and those who have signed up to it, such as the Amazonia Coalition team, should not be ridiculed. Rather, how do we look to quit the hysteria and come together knowing that the parties who will ultimately end the conflict are those currently carrying guns?
All right, Dr. Emma Osong, and the question we should be asking now, in some few seconds, we are rounding up, in some few seconds, is how to quench that fight on the social media fight between some persons who are involved in this issue.
I don't play psychologist in these matters, but it's simple. As I mentioned earlier, we are mainly, and when I say we, without calling names, there is, as I call it, the blindness of a sheer opposition from one side to the other, the surrogacy, the strongmanism, the egocentricities that drives people who feel that solutions that don't emanate from their own chieftaincies, and by that I put it in quotes, in other words, organizations, platforms, should not be accepted by others. Now, there is also the question of the situation. 60 years.
Dr. Emma Osong, thank you so much for joining us today. This is where we draw the curtains on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Coming up next, live from Cameroon's political capital, La Presse. It's a dispute, and after that, Equinoxe War. Stay with us.